The following podcast is an enticing media production.
Where the Nell have you been? Join us for conversation about life, business, and everything in between. Welcome to What the Nell, where we've got stories to tell. Here's your host, Nell Tice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the What the Nell podcast with yours truly, Nell Tice. You guys, I'm super excited because I have a returning guest today, one that hasn't been here in almost 2 years, exactly to the date, by the name of Dean Mercado. You guys loved the last episode that we did together, and I'm really excited to have him back because so much has changed in the landscape, especially on business automation and AI since we last spoke. But just to refresh your memory, in case you didn't listen to the last episode, which you absolutely should, and we'll link that in the show notes, but just so you know, the episode is titled Creating Greatness Out of Chaos and Methodologies to Help Small Business Owners Transform Their Businesses with Dean Mercado. But also to refresh your memory a little bit about Dean, he is the founder and CEO of Online Marketing Muscle and #1 best-selling author of The Mind Stretch, 49 Inspiring Insights for Business Breakthroughs. He is a well-respected small business coach, author, and speaker with expertise in helping small business owners, I should say, around the globe raise their game and level up in their business. Dean, welcome back to the podcast.
Nell, thank you. I'm so honored and glad to be here with you again today. So much we could probably talk about. I love it.
Probably? I
Yes.
mean, I know it for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. So if people want to hear all about your story, they can definitely go back to that episode and listen, but kind of fill us in a little bit, maybe touch on that story briefly, but let us know like what's happened in the past 2 years since you were last on.
Sure. I would encourage people to go back and listen, definitely, because one of the best ways to learn as an entrepreneur is to learn through other people's stories, through other people's autobiographies, their biographies that are out, whatever you can learn so you don't have to make the same mistakes, challenges, bumps in the road that they did. You know, one of the reasons I always say that I was able to circumvent a lot in my life and get through a lot in my life is because I had 3 older brothers and I saw them make every freaking mistake possible known to man. And, you know, being a smart kid, I would grow up and say, you know, I probably shouldn't do that. You know, that didn't go over so well for him.
Kids don't think that way.
Yeah. So I fortunately learned that one at a young age. So yeah, go back and listen. But a lot has changed since last time and now. 2 years ago, we were in New York, based out of Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if my surroundings can kind of tell. They're different from the last time. We have left New York.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, that's a big deal for me.
Wow.
You know, spending the first 55 years in New York and the last 2 here in South Carolina.
Oh,
So
wow.
we had to take stock and look at our situation and say, wait a minute. You know, it's one thing to fight a fight. It's another to throw my kids in the middle of it. So what my wife and I ended up doing was saying, you know what? We could still fight the fight, but we don't have to be in the middle of the gunfire to do that. So we said, you know what? Let's put the house up for sale. If the house sells quickly, we'll just leave. If the house doesn't sell, then that's a sign we probably should stay and slug it out a little bit more. We put the house up. It was selling like that. We got a number that we wanted at, and then some. And we were like, you know what? All the signs are pointed to get the hell out of here. You know, last time when we spoke, I was still homeschooling my kids. My kids had learned enough through the homeschooling where I wasn't afraid of anything that would come after that. So they're still in school now, but they're in the public school down here. The people down here just seem to have their head screwed on a little bit better than the unhinged craziness that was going on in New York. It was like you couldn't you couldn't really just focus on growing a business without having to navigate the lunacy that was going on. And it's like, come on, people. I don't know what drugs you guys are taking, but get rid of it already. Let's get real. You know what? And it's when it starts affecting the youth, that's a real problem. My kids were being homeschooled, which meant they were out of the socialization that the schooling brings. Now, some of that I'm grateful that they missed that, because they didn't need to deal with some of the crap that the other kids were dealing with. They still have all their friends there, so I hear all the stuff. But coming down here and being able to jump back into the mainstream and realizing that they were way ahead of the game because they were being homeschooled. And now they're kind of excelling down here, and they're getting to examine the social side of things a little bit. It takes the pressure off, and it lets them understand that, okay, even though we kind of missed not being with our friends in the other schools, we kind of realize and understand why mom and dad did this now. So it's a good thing. And they're 15 and 17 right now. So they're still at a very impressionable age, but at a good age where they kind of know what's going on. So yeah, the shift down to South Carolina, immense.
I love that for you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. New York is a tough place. I mean, we're just, next door in Pennsylvania, and it's a tough place, but not like New York. But I gotta ask, why South Carolina?
And that's a great question. We dabbled with looking for a while over the years, and we never really stumbled into the right place. And things were just getting so ridiculous up in New York. We were just like, we could go anywhere we want. Our business was portable. Our family was portable. We were homeschooling already. We weren't really like we had to be anywhere. So our company is a distributed workforce. So it's like, even though we have an office down here in Greenville, South Carolina, nobody's really in here except for myself and my wife sometimes, So we looked at North Carolina. We were looking at Florida. We were looking all up and down the East Coast. We knew we wanted the East Coast because we felt that the West Coast had their head screwed on even weirder than the East Coast folks did. Don't even
get me started on the California state of
mind. So plus all the regulations that California was putting on a lot of the businesses we were coaching. I didn't want any part of that. So we knew it was East Coast. But then we looked at North Carolina. That was our first choice. Then we realized how many of the crazy New Yorkers were in North Carolina now, soiling North Carolina. So we said, can't be North Carolina. Then we started looking at Florida, same thing. Can't be Florida. And it's too hot, too humid. So we started working our way back. Georgia was a little bit on the border of where we wanted to be. And then we came across South Carolina, and we started doing the internet searches, found Greenville. And we were like, whoa, what is this place? So we sold our house in New York and came down here sight unseen.
Oh, wow.
Without buying. We said, we'll just go down there, we'll rent. If I have to throw my crap in a storage facility for a year, we'll do that. If we don't like it, we'll leave. That's all. So we were just like, why not? What difference does it make, really, when you think about it? Our kids were like, let's go. So we were like, what else do we need to hear? Our kids are saying, go for it.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, if they're cool with leaving their friends, all right, let's do it. So we took the bold plunge. The landlord that we renting from down here was like, you sure you don't want to fly down here and check it out first? And I'm like, you know what? No, we're not going.
This was awesome.
It was a brand new house. We were like, you know what? How bad could it be? My only worry was when we were driving down and we started asking the question, what if the house isn't there? What if we get down there and we've got an 18-wheeler coming down with all our stuff and the place isn't there? And we were like, you know what? So what? We'll figure it out. If I have to put it in a storage facility, the trucking place would hold our stuff for a while and we'll just go get a hotel. When we sold out of New York, the best part of all of it, Nell, in all honesty, for the first time in my adult life, we are debt free.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Going from being hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to debt free. And I'm not talking good debt. I'm talking bad debt.
Yeah.
And the burden that takes off of you and takes off of your marriage and takes off your relationship with your kids and your wife and the ability to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, without worrying about paying a mortgage, without worrying about all the credit card debt. You know, we could focus on building the business without thinking, wow. So yeah, it was bold. It was crazy in a way, but you know what? I'm an entrepreneur. We do crazy things sometimes, you know? So yeah, but you know, my family was good with it. And we said, we got nothing to lose.
Oh.
We really don't. And we were like, you know what? Just the opportunity and our faith and our belief that, you know, our higher power has a better plan for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't standing in the middle of the gunfire. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't subjecting my kids to trying to figure out why they're a boy and they're really trying to, and they want to be a boy, but they're being told by the schools and everyone else that maybe they're not really a boy and maybe there's something screwed up in them. And same with my daughter, you're hearing all this crap and it's like, leave the kids alone.
Thank you.
Being a teenager is tough enough, let alone having you come and telling them that they're probably not thinking straight because they're really a biological male or female and they want to just be that and you won't let them.
Wow.
You know, and it was just like, no, not happening.
That's
so
incredible.
Yeah.
You hear stories like that, and my husband and I don't have kids. We are child-free by choice.
Mm-hmm.
And we have friends that are the same as well. We have friends that do have kids, but
Right.
we don't hear we hear some stories about the school systems and things like that and what you're able to identify as and things like that. But it's, we're pretty separated from that realm. So thank you for the enlightenment of what is going on in some areas in our
And I wish that on no one. I really don't, because it's not something that any child should have to go through. It's not something that any parent should have to learn how to navigate. It's not like we grew up with an instruction manual saying how to navigate the craziness of the current year. You know, this stuff wasn't going on like this when I was a kid.
Well, we're subject to a lot of things now that we don't have manuals for, we're not prepared for, and things. And I think that a lot of people in generations behind us felt the same way about the craziness that ensued in their days. Right. And it's so much, but you're right. Navigating life as a kid is tough enough. And
exactly.
Putting things in our heads or taking things out of our heads, it's all this manipulation. I just wanted to survive at 15. Right. I just wanted to survive.
I know. And we understand how complicated life is when you're 15. Yeah. You know, I can't even imagine how it feels for the kids today.
Yeah.
What they're trying to navigate and trying to make heads and tails of. And if they don't have strong North Stars of their own, and they don't have strong parenting, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
It's, we're going to step into a crazy world, and it's not their fault.
No.
That's the problem. No. It's not their fault. It'll be their fault in 20 years if they don't fix it. But for now, I grant them that. It's not their fault.
No, and speaking of the North Star, we have to be that North Star. And one of the best ways I think possible to help be that North Star, and you touched on this in the last episode that we recorded together almost 2 years ago, you called education and all the so-called things that we needed, all the degrees, all of the certifications, all of this stuff. Granted, some of that is necessary. However, the things that we need to be an entrepreneur, that's all garbage.
Yeah.
And I think helping to be the North Star by being the best entrepreneurs that we can and show these kids that it's not just college. It's not just the way that your guidance counselor is telling you have to go because that's the way that society is pushing us to go. I mean, we really have to do the best we possibly can. And what is one way that you can think of right now to help start that journey and guide and be that North Star for a kid that's struggling and figuring out, where do I go with my life?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, this dovetails with everything I'm working on with my kids right now, as they're both starting to think college. You know, I grew up in the realm of college, job, family, in that order. And if you strayed away from that, God forbid you strayed from that, you know, what's wrong with you? You're supposed to be this, and you come on, you know? So one thing I preach all the time, and I practice diligently as well, is the concept of your business will only grow to the degree that you do. And understanding how important the personal journey is, how important it is to grow yourself to be the best human being you can be. Everything else falls into place. It's like we could sit there and take all the accounting classes we want, right? And try and go into business as being an accountant. Great. Okay. But that business, that accounting business, will only grow to the degree that you do. If your mindset is stuck down here, that's where your business will be stuck. And so it's like a thermostat. We call it a financial thermostat, right? And you want to make $1 million a year, but you're stuck at $50,000 a year. Well, that's because your financial thermostat is stuck at $50,000 a year. That's what you believe in your heart of hearts that you're worth, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's harsh, but I mean, I've coached almost probably over 20,000 hours now in my lifetime. I've delivered a lot of coaching. I've spoken to a lot of smart entrepreneurs. I've learned a lot from them as much as they've learned from me and more. So, yeah, you've got to really look at yourself. How are you developing yourself? Sometimes we have to shut out the noise and the chaos of what's out there. For me, it was getting my family the hell out of New York so that we can get a breath of silence for a moment to be able to think clearly. We couldn't think clearly up there. And it wasn't because it's so hard up there. If you're a great entrepreneur, you'll make it anywhere. I don't care what you are, you know, where you are. It makes no difference to me. I've been at this long enough. It really doesn't matter. The government has their regulations. Yeah, that complicates things. You know, I want to minimize that. Yes. But I know that I always say, and when I work with coaches who coach me, I know I'm the bottleneck of my company. I know that my company is exactly where it is because of me, because of my limiting thinking. Right? And as soon as I'm able to release that limiting thinking, then I can climb to the next leg of my journey. Right? I could start moving in that way. So stopping the programming long enough, getting silence long enough for you to start recognizing that it's time to climb within. You're going to see the whole school systems start to change. And this ties into AI. And what we're seeing, this world, the way we know it right now, in 5 years will be vastly different. Everything you think you know right now is going to be vastly different. It will be done differently than what you know now. I did a big speech in Vegas a couple of months back, and I introduced AI being the biggest disruptor in humanity that we've known, right? At least in my lifetime. You know, and that includes things like the personal computer coming out for the first time, and then the internet coming, and social media coming. Those are all disruptors. AI, just in the next 2 years, about half of the things that you do administratively and creatively will be done differently. The tools you're using will be different. The skills you'll need will be different. Everything's going to be different. 5 years from now, you're not going to recognize things. So if you're planning on standing still and not focusing on how do I grow myself, right? Because they're not going to teach you this stuff in school. Nobody's going to teach you how to prepare yourself for what AI is going to bring down the pipe at you. And either you're going to be able to surf the wave or you're going to get drowned by it. And I don't mean to sound like a naysayer or a doom and gloom guy, because I'm not. I look at this as the biggest opportunity any entrepreneur has had in my lifetime. I'm 56. I'll be 57 in a month. And I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like this. So for me at 56 to be like, okay, where do we got to shift? Our gears need to shift right now because we need to look at where things are going. not where they've been. And most entrepreneurs are stuck where things were. This is not 1980 anymore, folks. And it's like, we're not talking it's going to be a slow, gradual 20-year rollout of AI. No way. It's gonna look to bury people right now. So the first two industries that are getting impacted heavily are anything administrative, right? Because I can create an AI agent right now that can do a whole ton of stuff that I was paying VAs to do, that I was paying people in my company in other positions to do. Oh my goodness. So that side of it is going to be completely different. Then the creative side, I'm sorry to say it, all of us who do creative work, whether it's art, right? You can have AI generated art coming down the pipe, AI generated videos, AI generated podcasts, AI generated articles. The creative is going to change a lot. And yeah, for those of us who are really great at those things, we'll find a way to stand out, because there'll always be somebody who's trying to hold on to the way things used to be done. But even the best agencies are going to be looking, how do I infuse AI into what we're doing so that we could stay competitive? Right? So my agency business does a lot with automation, does a lot with AI, because we're trying to prepare not only ourselves, but our target market, our audience, for what's to come. Otherwise, they don't stand a chance. They're so busy doing what they do and not looking at this tidal wave that's coming right at them. And it's like, oh my goodness. It's like, hey, just lift your head up for a second. Look over there. Oh my goodness. It's going to be insane. So 5 years now, 5 years.
5 years.
Completely different.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that. We're going to do another episode.
2 years, it'll be very different.
Yeah.
5 years, it's going to be unrecognizable. Woo.
Something you said there excited me, because I resonate as a creative. I'm a video producer. I'm a podcast producer. And a lot of these things are being taken over by AI. And I have a choice. I can either sit back and say, okay, let it happen. Or I can get on board and say, how can I use these tools to amplify my business and my impact on my current clients and my future clients?
Because you know what? There's one thing AI can't take from you, and that's your creative genius.
Yes.
If you take your creative genius and you learn how to leverage the tools that exist for you now, that just allows you to exponentially increase the amount you could serve out there. And that's how I would look at it. It's not about, oh my God, my job's going away. No. Those of us who are smart enough to embrace this thing while it's embraceable, and then we apply what we know we're genius. Or we all have our native genius. It's every one of us does, whether we realize that or not. If you learn how to take and bottle that native genius, and then you use tools like automation and AI bring to the table, oh my goodness, all of a sudden, we're not serving 10 clients. We're serving 10,000 clients with the same level, of genius that we were putting into it before. Except now, instead of it taking us 100 hours to produce something, it's taking us 1 hour.
Right. Exactly.
Whoa. But yeah. Is it? It's like a holy kind of thing.
It really is.
Yeah. And to me, it's exciting. I look at this and I'm like, entrepreneurs out there, ding, 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 ding.
Hello.
Huge opportunity sitting here. And it doesn't mean dump everything you're doing and just do all AI. No, it means look at your genius. Start bottling your genius. So start thinking about, what do I need to start trademarking? What do I need to start patenting? What do I need to start copywriting? What's my intellectual property? What's my methodology that's uniquely me? And I've been doing this for years. I've got my clone the owner methodology. I've got my mind stretch methodology, and we've got those bottled and we've got them protected and stuff like that. And that's the difference, folks, because once AI gets a hold of your content, and it will, it's out there for everybody to use.
Yep.
So you start protecting. And maybe that's a what the Nell before we even get to what the Nell. You know what I mean?
A lot of, depending on, if you're listening to this and how you're taking it, could be very what the Nell for you. But I 100% agree with you. And I say this all the time to everybody I know: own your content.
Yes.
Own it.
Yes.
and take control of it, because yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It's happening fast, it's happening heavy, and we can't stop it. Why would we want to, honestly? Because this is an exciting time.
Yeah.
And you said a key word in there that I want to get to. You said the word tools.
Yes.
So, there's automation tools and AI tools, and everybody wants to know what's the best this, what's the best that. But give us your top 3 best AI automation tools.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as far as automation to me kind of came before AI came into the picture. Automation was kind of a lead in. My tool of choice when it comes to automation for a small business is Keep. The product Keep. And I'm a certified partner, full disclosure. Okay. I have been for a long time, only because I tried a lot of the other ones. And when it comes to bang for the buck for a small business owner, I can automate most of my business with that one tool. And it's like I automate stuff in my sales process, my marketing process, my operations, my administrative stuff. I automate a ton, dozens and dozens and dozens of automations that make a very small team look like we're a team of 1,000. And it's incredible what we've been able to do. I've been using that tool since about 2009, 2010, before they really got into automation and built the automation. So I favor them because I think the price point is right. And I think the desire and I think the owners have their heads screwed on right now. They were recently bought out by a company called Thrive, which is fine. I've gone and I've met with them, and they promise that they're going to uphold everything we know to be so, and they're gonna put a lot more muscle behind it. So that's one tool we rely on big time. Okay. And we use it with all our clients, and we help them build that stuff out for themselves too.
What would you compare it to? Is it kind of like a Go High Level, or? Yeah,
it's
okay.
You got Go High Level, then you got Keep, and then you got like your Salesforce, your HubSpots of the world. They're all in a similar vein. Bang for the buck though. Keep is the sweet spot. HubSpots of the world, you need to really be making 8 figures and up. Salesforce, 9-figure companies. But Keep is more in that vein of the high 6s going into 7s. It's perfect. Anything over a couple of $100,000, great. Go High Level, they've got a lot to figure out still. We tried them on. We tried different things. There's some good there. There is. Yeah. I see a lot of
the right direction.
Yeah. I see them doing a lot of copying. They see what Keep is doing, they're copying it. They see what HubSpot's doing, they're copying it. And they're putting some money behind it, so they're rolling things out very quickly right now, but they're bumping into and they're making a lot of mistakes. They're trying to do too much. And they're making a lot of mistakes in the process, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, makes total sense.
And that's not the bad mouth my friends that Go High Level. It's just what my experience has been.
Sure. I 100% agree with you. I don't have a lot of experience, but I do have a very small experience with Go High Level. Right. And let's just say that I think there's a learning curve involved there that, you need to be at the right place at the right time for it.
Yeah. And the key that I would always say to everybody is when I mentioned the thermostat earlier, one of the problems with that thermostat is that as entrepreneurs, we're under this false assumption and false understanding that if it's to be, it has to be me. And it's like, you should not be the one automating your business. You should be the one dictating what the system you want automated is. You lay it out, and then you bring in an automation expert and let them automate that for you, right? That's the way you do it. Stop thinking I've got to go out there and learn Keep now or Go High Level. No, you'd be insane to do that. You bring in somebody who's already done that because they could build your automation in an hour. Meanwhile, it would take you 100 hours to figure it out and build it. And it still wouldn't be as good as what they'll build in an hour. So it's a matter of, and this is what I always liken it to, and this goes for any of these tools. It's not a matter of how much something costs. It's a matter of how much it makes you. And if you carry that mindset forward, I don't care if a tool costs me $1,000 a month. I really don't. If it makes me $100,000 a month, what do I care? I use the example all the time. It's like if I stand you in front of a soda machine, an old-fashioned soda machine that you put $1 in and a can of soda comes out, but I rig the machine And every dollar bill, Chris dollar bill you put in, 3 spit out. $3 bills spit out. Would you ever leave that machine? Or would you stand there for a very long time and just keep putting in 1 at a time and getting 3 back? That's automation. That's the mindset shift that I'm trying to create out there. And I know I'm creating it because I'm talking to a lot of people. And, my mission back in the day, last time we spoke, it was along those lines too. Mm-hmm. People have to learn how to work smarter. Get out of your own way. Recognize that you do have a thermostat and it's got a cap. It's a governor, we call it, holding you down because this is what you're used to. And you keep doing this and you're saying to yourself, why isn't it working? What's wrong? Oh, it's the economy. Oh, it's this. Or it's that company that just opened up down the block. They're taking all my business. Come on, folks.
You're only as good as your excuses.
That's right, yeah. So it's like, you know what? If we lose the excuses and we realize that we're being held down by a governor of some sort, and we say, let's remove the cap and let's explore what can get us to that next level, automation and AI are the key. For an entrepreneur, anybody who has a team under 50 employees, you'd be insane not to be looking at every possibility to automate at this point, because you could put an automation together that can save you. Let's say if Nell, in your business, if I can create an automation for you for $1,000 and that automation saves you 10 hours a week, think about that. All of a sudden you've got 10 hours more of your time to be doing the Nell genius stuff, the stuff that only you can do.
Right.
The automation isn't going to do that. Only you know how to do that. So it's like, it's a matter of again, lifting that governor off and allowing people to see, right? So when my agency steps in, that side of my business, we usually step in and we come in and we say, okay, well, let's look at your systems. Let's systematize your whole business. And then we'll automate whatever can be automated. The whole idea is we're trying to remove everything from somebody's plate that we can, and that's when I say that in 5 years, business will be different. That's what I mean. Your work days will be much shorter because most of what you do will be just the genius part. And the automation and the AI will be doing a lot of the other stuff. Now, there'll be some things that, manual labor type stuff that you're going to need somebody to do in the short term. But even like, I do a lot of business in the cleaning industry. I was at a major trade show of theirs. You've got to see the machines they've got that clean. You will not believe the robotics. So even those types of companies that are saying, yeah, well, we're still going to need somebody with a mop. No, you're not. Before long, that machine over there, they buy it once. It doesn't complain. It doesn't argue. It's never late. You know what I mean? It's all of that stuff. And we as entrepreneurs have to look at that and say, well, why aren't I taking advantage of that?
Very valid question.
So every human being is going to be asked to up their game, to stop thinking down here. We're all going to be tasked with learning new skills. So your job will go away if you allow it to go away, right? Because the AI is learning at such a rapid pace. I think I saw a video a couple of days ago where somebody was asking AI to tell it how long, how many years of a human's life do they learn in like a half a day? And that AI was improving 5 years in human knowledge in 12 hours. Every 12 hours, it was another 5 years smarter. Now, you release onto that the new quantum computing that's just come out by Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And that's supposed to 100-fold that possibility. So the AI will be learning at a pace in minutes that will cover your whole lifetime span in a half an hour. Yeah. Think about that. We don't stand a chance in that way. So it's not a matter of, oh, I'm scared of this AI. You better learn to embrace it, and you better learn how to work with it, and you better learn how to ask the right questions of it, right? It's not here like the movie Terminator looking to eliminate humanity. Get over it, folks. Those are movies. They got to sensationalize everything, right?
That they do.
AI still needs us to feed it input, and then it'll give us output. So the better the input, the better the output, right? I always say cold in, diamonds out, right?
Yeah.
Coal in, diamonds out.
Yeah. I mean, the other part I think people don't, and I feel like they fail to recognize, is it's not just the AI that is booming so quickly. It's all of the other technology around it that is supporting it, that is helping to feed this productivity and this progressiveness of the AI.
Yeah.
So for somebody that is just getting started in automation and they're listening to this, they're like, you know what? They're right. I got to embrace this. Like, where do I start? What is one place that you think in someone's business that they should start with automation?
Oh, I would say it's the simple things. It's the administrative stuff. Anything that you find yourself doing multiple times in a day, look for the patterns. That's one of the skills that I say that humanity needs the most right now is pattern recognition. Right? If you start to learn how to recognize patterns in your day, then you start saying, okay, how much, if I'm doing that 3 times a day and every time I do it, it's taking me an hour each time, that's 3 hours a day. Can I automate that? So we put everything like that through a path, through like a little funnel where it's like the first thing we throw it in. Here's the task. We throw it into that funnel. Can we eliminate it? Does it need to be done at all? Can I just eliminate it? Right? You can't eliminate it. Okay, it flows to the next level. Next level is, can I automate it? Right? Yes, automate it. No? Okay, it falls down to the next level. The next level is, okay, well then can I delegate it to somebody? Right? Yes, great, delegate it. No? Okay, you know what? Here's the part that sucks. Now you're the one sitting at the bottom of that funnel with a catcher's mitt, because everything that can't be eliminated, automated, or delegated falls on you.
Yes,
and that's what happens to us entrepreneurs. And we get stuck and we get overwhelmed. And then things start falling through the cracks. And then all of a sudden, Nell's genius at the video side of things doesn't really get to be experienced because she's wrapped up in the crap. Don't let yourself get wrapped in the crap. That's what we all do. So you got to catch yourself there and say, you know what? No. And this is where I say that everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs to be having this level conversation with someone. What can I be doing? Can't afford a coach? Get an accountability partner and play with this together and start talking about, what are you looking to automate in your business? What are you looking to automate in your business? How did that work out for you? How did that work out for you? Okay, that saved you 20 hours a month? Great. I'm going to do the same thing in my business. Right? Can you share your secret sauce on how you automated it? Yeah, sure. As long as they don't compete.
Right.
You know what I mean? No big deal. But I look at it and it saddens me in a way, because I know not everybody puts the same energy into learning this stuff like I do. And I know for certain, trust me when I tell you this, folks, I know you may not know me very well, but get out there and learn a lot about me. I speak as much truth as I can, and I'm driven to that. It's what I do. You have to be the one who learns how to use this stuff. Those people who know how to navigate this stuff will always be in demand. The people who don't know how to use this stuff are the ones who are going to be laid off, furloughed, fired, and all of that stuff. And even if it's just because you can't charge as cheap as the guy down the block is charging, and it's not that they're putting out an inferior product, they just know how to work with the right tools to get it done better, faster, right? So in my business, I've always built it from the standpoint, I try everything I can do to not have to hire people. And it's not because I don't love people. I do. I've done that already in my career, though. People bring problems, and lots of them. They bring crap. I don't want crap in my life. I'm a little too old for that now. I'm trying to keep it simple, right? And I'm trying to leverage what exists in front of us. It's like, why is the saying, the rich get richer? Why is a saying like that a truth? Because it is the truth. Because they're doing things you're not. They're investing their money and their time in things you're not willing to do. You're stuck in college, job, family, college, job, family. They're not thinking that. They're not thinking if I don't work a 40-hour week, then I'm screwing myself up and I can't live like this. I have to work at least 40 to 80 hours a week. No. They're trying to work 4 hours a week. They just do what they got to do and they get out of the way and let everything else do its thing. Look for the patterns, right? Mm-hmm. You want to become wealthy in your business, look for the patterns. What are the wealthy in their business doing? What do they do? Mm-hmm. It's certainly not 80 hours a week. No. The only time I spend those kind of hours is when I'm building systems or when I'm building automations and new AIs. When I'm building that stuff, yeah, I'll invest the time up front because I know on the back end, it's going to save me a ton and make me a fortune in the process and make others that I'm serving a fortune in the process. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes total sense. And I hope that those of you that are listening and watching, it's making sense for you too, because the time is now. And honestly, it's a little late, but you can still get started. Yeah. The time really is now.
It is now. Because I'd say because 98% of the businesses out there, they haven't embraced yet. No. And it's like, like anything else, you hear this information. And as a coach, my mind goes immediately to what's the one thing that you can do within 15 minutes of listening to this conversation today that will move you closer to automating an AI? What's the one thing? And maybe it's, oh, you know what? I'll watch a video of Dean's on AI. Okay, great. Take your 15 minutes. I'm out on the internet all day long. I'm everywhere. So you could find me and look for those conversations. Another could be, let me check out an automation tool. Mm-hmm. Let me try one on and see how I like it. Another could be, let me commit and spend the $20 a month on ChatGPT, the pro version, because there are significant benefits to it. Right? Like it remembering you and remembering your stuff so you don't have to teach it as much. So when I work with the $20 version of ChatGPT, it knows and it keeps learning from everything I'm feeding it. So when I ask for input back, it gives me much better responses. And the same goes with, and you ask for more tools. I use ChatGPT all the time. I use Claude all the time. Mm-hmm. I use a lot of them. Perplexity all the time. I use Opus Clip all the time. And a lot of these tools some of them didn't start out as AI tools and some did. Like Canva didn't start out as an AI tool, but it's brought in so much AI into the tool now. You want to do graphic design, yeah, you can remove a background from a photo in an instant now. Mm-hmm. I remember the days using Photoshop and CorelDRAW back in the day where I had to do that pixel by pixel. I used to do that. You're talking 1990, probably late 1980s, but I had to do it that way. When I was drawing stuff using those tools, the artistic side of me, I was doing it pixel by pixel. Yeah. That's insane. I look at that now and I'm like, how did I have the patience to sit there like 90 hours to do one image? Yeah. But that's what I was doing. That's what I was being paid to do. So, again, it's about looking at what you're doing and saying, how's that working out for me? Could I be doing this better, smarter, cheaper, faster? Yeah, you can. Now I'm not trying to blow smoke up your tush or anything like that. I'm telling you, folks, this is not something to sit back and wait on. This is something that take an action, right? So I tell people all the time, there's so many things. My company used to sell a lot of SEO work. I don't really sell SEO anymore. Instead, I teach people how to use AI to do their own SEO. I could teach you it once in a couple of hours, and you're doing better than most SEO agencies would do for you. And they want $10,000 a month. $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month. What if we build you a couple of AIs that just you plug in your stuff and it tells you what improvements to make? Then you just go on your WordPress website, make your improvements, and boom, you're off to the races. So, why would an agency like mine cut a lucrative revenue stream like that? Right? If SEO was so much the place to go for an agency. Yeah, I could sit here and keep selling it over and over, but my integrity doesn't let me. My integrity stops me and says, instead of charging Nell that, why don't I just teach her something and give her a script and let her run with that for a while? And instead of spending $100,000 on SEO this year, maybe she could spend $5,000 on a little bit of knowledge that can carry her for a couple of years. Not bad. And then knowing how smart Nell is, she can now reverse engineer what was created for her and take that and create the same thing for another element of her business. This is how the game is played. This is how the game is won. It's not about doing it the old-fashioned way. There was a time and place for that. It's about looking at it and saying, okay, how do I do this better, faster, cheaper? And I'll tell you, once the younger generation gets past, I know there were new laws passed about stopping some of the programming going on in the public schools. Once that stops and they start teaching kids things that they really need to learn, then our generations are in trouble, because those kids are going to be way smarter than we ever were, because they're growing up with this stuff. We have to learn it. For them, it's second nature. I put AI in front of my kids. It's nothing to them. It doesn't faze them. But to me, I've got to painfully learn it, And I used to own a tech company, and it's still painful for me. I could imagine somebody who's not technically inclined like I might be. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is where we're going, folks.
That's right.
Woo!
The time is now. And just so everybody knows, today, these are the good old days.
Yeah.
So buckle up.
Yeah, exactly. 5 years from now, it's not a matter of whether or not you're using ChatGPT or something like it. It's equivalent. You'll have no choice. Yeah. It's going to integrate and infiltrate every area of your life. Products you buy in stores will have this stuff built into it. You're not going to have a choice anymore. It is what it is. So yeah, we could kick and scream and moan and all that, see how far that gets you. Right? So it's, look at it and say, okay. And I'll give you this nice one. And maybe and you know what? I'll save this for what the Nell when you give me that. But I'll give you 5 areas where AI is really going to impact and is playing a role already, but it's going to get even bigger and bigger and bigger. So how are we on time so far?
Well, we're coming up to time, and I was actually thinking, I need to ask you, what is your What the Nell story? Because, you're familiar. You've been here before. You've been there, done that. So maybe this is the best time. This is the time for a What the Nell moment. Give us those 5 things.
Yeah. I mean, each one of these 5 things kind of ties into not only your business, but your personal life, right? How we use AI, how we use automation. And I'm using those 2 words kind of together, AI and automation, because they are coming together. Automation was just kind of the threshold that's letting us in. And now AI is really taking it in, oh my goodness, right? Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, the first area that it's infiltrating is how we think. Using it to help us think clearer. Using it to help us wrap our thoughts around things. Now, what tools might I use for that? I'll use a simple ChatGPT. I'll use Claude for that to help me think, right? So I don't just, to give you a use case, I don't just look at my sales numbers, right? I'll plug in sales numbers over a period of time, and I'll ask my programmed GPTs that I create to help me analyze that and give me suggestions on how to improve my sales. And boom, so it's helping me think. Now, I have to be smart enough to understand I don't just do everything it tells me, but I'm using it to uncover maybe some areas, some blind spots that I didn't think of, that I didn't really pay attention to, So I'll use that to help me think, right? When I'm doing my brainstorming, my planning for the year, I use a tool like ChatGPT to help me do my planning. help me organize my thoughts, right? So thinking is a big area, and that can be done right now with the existing tools that are out there. Whether two of my favorites are Claude and ChatGPT for that, you know? And the second big area, I touched on this a little bit before too, is creating. When you're creating, the creative, I'm telling you, art will be created by AI. Music will be created by AI. Writing, books will be created by AI. People are creating books with AI now, and you don't know the difference. And there's people out there saying, oh, well, they're going to put it through a filter and Google knows which one's AI and not. I don't know about that. If you know how to make the appropriate simple changes to whatever AI content you have generated, it's going to be very difficult for anything to tell what's AI generated and what's not, because AI is learning from us. All it's doing is replicating what we're feeding it. Now, it has its favorite things that it feeds back, but as it keeps getting fed, it's got a much bigger repertoire to pull from now. So it doesn't only give me, if I'm asking it for something regarding video and editing video the best way and having a methodology for that, it's not only giving me Nell's way of doing it, right? Maybe a year ago, it only knew Nell's because Nell was the only one who fed it, right? But now 100,000 other video experts have fed it. Now it's pulling from all of that, right? So wow. So the creative side, it's going to change the music industry, the art industry, right? It's going to change the writing industry, the copywriting industry. It's going to change it all, right? Nothing will be done the same way anymore, right? The video industry. Now you're looking at a video on YouTube. You don't know if you're looking at AI or not. We can deep fake stuff today that you don't know if it's your own president speaking to you. It's insane, but it's the world you're living in right now. This has been here for a long time, folks. You know, the conspiracy theorist in me says they've had this technology for 50 years already. They're only telling us about it now. They finally think that we're adult enough to be spoon-fed a little bit of this. And I'm telling you that the technology that exists is way beyond what they're showing us. So buckle up, you know? So thinking and creativity, that's 1 and 2. The third, I would say, is communicating. How we communicate is going to vastly change. You know, will it change email marketing? Yeah, it's going to change email marketing very much so. It's going to change texting. You know, the devices we carry, the devices we have that's shared to use, how we communicate is going to be very different, right? People are starting to ask, you need an email written? They're going right to AI. Can you write me an email? You know, that does this, and that. Or somebody badmouthed me on a YouTube video. Can you write me a response? You know, why not? Use that, let it write for you, and then you fix it, tweak it, you know? And if you work with AI well enough, you've already trained your AI to understand how you speak. Sometimes my AI writes on my behalf better than I do. It sounds more like me than me sometimes. And I'm like, oh my goodness, wow, that's scary, you know? But it's where we live these days. So how we communicate. Many times I tell people, like I mentioned earlier, I do a lot with the cleaning industry. They have a lot of Spanish-speaking employees. So, you know, I tell them, hey, instead of just handing them an English SOP, you know, translate it using ChatGPT to Spanish and hand them that. Why are you making it impossible for them? So you can have anything translated in seconds. You know, you've got your book written in English, translate it to French, German, Spanish in a matter of minutes, and then put it out there. Why not? You know, so how we communicate and the amount and the breadth and the distance we can communicate changes, right? That's 3. 4, how we analyze data. I started getting into this before with the thinking, right? I use it to analyze my numbers like crazy. I'm plugging in numbers and I'm asking for feedback. I'll ask it to behave like the COO of this particular firm in New York City, or act like this well-known financial expert. Here's the numbers, you know, analyze that for me. You know, gives me stuff back. I can look at it. Okay, now that I got that feedback from that person, now make believe you're this person in this company. Analyze the same numbers. Now cross-reference those two And let's come up with the best, plus my feedback to you. And let's come up with something that works for me. Holy,
Powerful.
I came out of big corporate America. I know where they're playing right now. They're all over this stuff. We as small businesses have to learn to embrace quicker too, and realize how we can use this to analyze everything around us. Analyze my SOP. Tell me how I can improve it. A little side note. I call the Mac method, right? I ask the AIs of the world, first, act as my mentor. Tell me how I could do this. Take these numbers and analyze it for me. Mentor me. What should I be getting from these numbers, right? Mentor me. And then I say, okay, now that you mentored me, I understand what you're saying now. Now, do it for me. It does it for me. Holy cow. And then I say, okay, now that you've mentored me and you've assisted me, because that's what the A is. M is mentoring. A is my assistant. So it act as my mentor, now my assistant. The third thing I say is, now act as my critic and critique this work and tell me how I can improve it. And it does it. Goes in and says, hey, you could do this, 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 and that. And remember when I mentioned SEO work before? It's exactly what I do. I'll take someone's copy, I'll plug it in, and I'll say, okay, you're an SEO guru from this company. Analyze this and tell me what could be improved. Okay, great. Now rework the copy and improve it for me. Right? And then I'll say, now act as this guy and critique the work. Is this going to get me to the top of the search rankings? Why not? Critique it for me. Holy cow. So when I'm talking about thinking, creative, communicating, and analyzing, and we use this MAC method to approach it, holy now. Let me tell you, there's one more though. Don't run anywhere yet. There's one more that I got for you.
I'm waiting for bated breath.
And that's automating. That's automating. We're going to use the AIs of the world to automate everything that's moving. Anything that moves, all the moving parts. And this, Nell and everyone else who's listening, this doesn't only apply to your business, this applies to your life, right? You could take your budget at home and plug it in and ask for it to mentor you. How can I do this better, smarter? How can I pay down this debt quicker? How can I do this? Here's my approach. Critique it for me. Holy cow. And eventually, once you get into the automated side of it, you're already doing some of this now when you're automating payments to things. That's automation.
Sure.
Happening for you. So it's looking at it and saying, can I automate any of this? Remember, can I eliminate it, automate it, delegate it? If not, oh man, I got to do it. So there's your 5, from how you think to how you create, right? To how you communicate, to how you analyze stuff, to how you automate. All of that is what's in play right now. You don't have to wait the 2 years and then the 5 years for it all to change. The smart entrepreneur, the smart homemaker. I'm a homemaker, right? I'm responsible, my wife and I, for our home, creating a great home for our kids, our pets, right? And I believe you're a cat person, right? You had a couple of cats?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They're still with us, I hope, right?
Just the one.
Oh, just the one? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. I love animals. So it's like,
they are part of our families.
Yeah, exactly. So when we talk about how do we make a better household, that's all part of it, and we used to go to Google to search for everything, or go to YouTube and search for things. Become best friends with Claude or ChatGPT. Ask it, and it'll bring it all to your fingertips. How many times it's like my dog had a problem with his stomach last year, and go right on ChatGPT. Hey, this is what we see. This is what we're going on. Diagnose it. Boom. And would you know that the diagnosis was spot on? We bring them to a vet, and it's exactly what they end up telling us. And it's like, yeah, okay, we could have saved $2,000, but this is where the world is going. And it's like, at least though, when we went to the vet, we had an idea before we even went there. So we knew, but the expert just validated us and validated what we thought. So if you approach in the What the Nell here today and understand that those 5 areas of your life are impacted already and will be further impacted, those are the first 2 years. When I say 2 years from now, in 2025, 2026, by 2027, Life is vastly different because we're all starting to embrace in these 5 areas. But 2030, game changer. I can't even imagine what I'll be telling you a year from now. It's that serious and that significant. And it's not only for our business, remember, it's for your personal life, how you do things. You want to lighten the burden at home, folks. Lighten the burden. That's what we did. I needed to make space in my aging brain to make room for some of this stuff because there's too many other demands on my life.
Yeah.
You know, right now I'm trying to teach one of my kids how to drive. You know,
God bless you.
Holy cow. You know, I need to have the cycles available to me to do that.
Where's the AI for that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, you know, part of it is me asking my daughter to start using it for thinking. You know, how can you remote learn this without even doing it? How can you visualize yourself doing this? So by 2030, some of the stuff that we're teaching in school, hopefully the school system picks up faster, but they'll be teaching a lot more personal development skills.
Yeah, which I think, honestly, they really do need to do.
Totally.
And, you know, this whole episode is just, it's really, really necessary. I really want people to take what you've said to heart and use it. Use this knowledge in your business. So here's the thing. These podcasts, these books that we read, these videos that we watch, and things that we listen to, they're all great. And the personal development this journey is great, but only if you actually implement what you've learned.
That's right.
So that all being said, Dean, it has been a great pleasure to have you back. And right now, let's book it. Let's book the next conversation in 2 years when all of the shit has hit the fan. And let's go back and analyze that. But before we go, tell people how they can find you, where they can connect with you.
Sure. Now, I have a couple of websites. I have a couple of companies. The easiest way is deanmercado.com. From there, you'll find out where I'm hanging out on social media these days. There's links to my online marketing muscle agency, you know, if you want to get heavy into the automation and stuff like that. But deanmercado.com is the simplest thing. Find me, folks. Talk to me. I'm very approachable, you know, and I'm telling you, you've got to start engaging this conversation somewhere. Nell is helping us explode this out there to tell people, hey, the time is now. You know, it's not yesterday. It's not tomorrow. The best time to start is right now. Right now. You wait too long, I feel bad for you because I'll be able to create businesses at warp speed. Guys like me will be creating 100 businesses a year and be able to outpace people who have been putting their whole life into things. And I don't mean that to sound like cocky or some sort of jerk or anything. Like, I'm just telling you that that's what you're up against. And it's not a local thing anymore. This stuff is global. You know, and not every country's kids are being taught garbage in school. Some of those kids are being taught really good stuff and they're running circles around us. You know, not a good thing for us. So embrace, get out there, deanmercado.com, you know, check it out. Check me out, you know, find me everywhere and reach out if you want to talk.
Absolutely. I second that. So everybody, please reach out to Dean. Dean can help and check out everything that he has going on. And thank you, Dean, for being on again today. I can't wait for our follow-up conversation again. And to those of you listening and watching, if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, like this video. And if you are listening on your favorite audio platform, leave us a review. That is how we grow here at the What the Nell podcast. So thank you all so, so much. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.
To learn more about how to tell your story, connect with Nell at enticingmedia.com. That's ENTICEING media.com. Thanks for listening to the What the Nell podcast.